On the Anvil episode. I jumped in.
Yeah, you started. I don't know. You started very early.
I thought you gave me a thumbs up.
No, I was getting ready. I was excitedly getting ready because I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go over to the board now to push this. I mean, you could.
Well, I jumped to the part of the preamble where this is the show where we never have any tech problems. So
that wasn't a tech problem. That was 100% user error.
User error.
Yeah.
Once again, welcome to Dwarven Forge Live. This is On the Anvil, episode 102.
Yes.
This is the show where we never have any technical problems and never have any user error, never make any mistakes as we take you behind the scenes here at Dwarven Forge, show you what we're working on, show you the challenges we're facing, and maybe a glimpse of the future. And tonight, we have a very special guest with us. We have Lee Oakley from Strata Miniatures talking about their new Kickstarter. Can we see Lee?
Oh,
yet?
I'll bring him.
Reveal him.
I thought we were going to do a touch on his. Hey, there he is.
Woo!
Hi, everyone. Hello.
So we're going to hang out and talk with Lee for about an hour, and then we're going to look at some Cities and Castles stuff and maybe talk a little bit about our upcoming Cities Untold Kickstarter. What else is going on tonight, Chris?
We're gonna have we're gonna have a giveaway at the break. First off, $50 Dwarven Forge gift card. It is a digital thing, so you are eligible no matter where you live in the world.
Anywhere on the globe.
Anywhere on the globe, or not globe, depending on your personal beliefs. Do
we have any flat earthers here? Is this a thing?
Is this how we found out?
Are you trying to tell me something, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah, and then after that, yeah, we're gonna revisit the Castle Cities compatibility conversation in the second half of the stream that we touched on a couple times last couple weeks.
We're gonna see how big a mess I can make.
Yeah, we're gonna just make an absolute shambles of the table.
Yes, that'll be our goal.
But first,
do we have any new people here?
Probably.
Viewers. Well, welcome. There's no rules. You feel free to lurk. Feel free to jump in. One of the things we love is interacting with you. We want to hear your questions. We want to hear mostly your questions. Maybe your jokes. Maybe you're don't talk about Spelljammer, but anything else goes. Just don't be a jerk.
Merc literally said that he's only going to be here for the first half because he has to play Spelljammer afterwards.
See, there it is.
Yeah.
But welcome. We're happy to have you.
Yes.
And buckle up because we don't know where this is going to go. It always gets lively when we have a guest.
Yeah. All right. So first, let's cover the news.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the news. It's the news.
Yeah.
News.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah. By the way, Lee, we do that.
We have a news segment.
Yeah.
With a really high-end soundboard. Money can't buy it.
All
so,
right.
Lee, you're going to do the news for us, okay? How's that sound?
Yeah, what's going on?
What's in the news?
Oh, dear. Don't ask me.
Okay.
All right. It's actually going to be very quick news today, so we can jump into the meat of things. Biggest thing is the Reliquaries container successfully landed on Monday. We are receiving and checking everything out at the warehouse, so hopefully we'll be shipping all that very soon. We'll also have information, hard dates for the restocks happening this month very soon as well. We'll be going out in emails.
Eric was in the warehouse inspecting. It may take a little longer to receive than normal because it's lots and lots of small sets all over the place. Like it's a plethora, a mixed bounty of sets of them. But we will get there. I mean, it's shipping is imminent for after now. What, a year and a day, a year and a month.
It's been less than a year for Reliquaries. We ran that Kickstarter in November.
Did we?
Yeah.
Holy
It's October.
moly.
We had
Wow,
less
we're
than
ahead of, all right.
Yeah.
Well, so you get time to wait then. Cool.
Yeah. We're fine.
Woo! I mixed together Wildlands, I guess. That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago, whatever. Who's counting?
And the other big thing, Wildlands was over twice as long as Reliquaries to fulfill. Yeah. How about that? The other big thing is we have, speaking of Kickstarters, we have an announcement regarding our next Kickstarter.
Should we give them the date now, or should we wait till the halfway point?
I literally asked you this, and you told me to do it at the beginning, because I asked if you wanted to wait until
This is true. This is a glimpse behind.
If you want to wait till the half,
at
that's fine. But now you made me look like an
I.
idiot. All right.
January 15th.
Yes.
Cities Untold. More after the break. So we cut to the break.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll dive into it a little bit more after Lee.
Yes.
So around the 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Daylight Mountain Time.
Perfect. All right, and that's all for the news.
All right, Lee, you are here all the way from, where the heck are you? You're somewhere in the UK, right?
Worcester in the UK. Yeah.
Worcester. Is that where they make the sauce? The sauce? Yeah.
That is where they make the sauce. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm just
absolutely.
being a jackass. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, why all hamburgers. That's why all hamburgers made in Hamburg. If it's made anywhere else, it's just sparkling beef.
It's my favorite kind of beef.
Yeah.
So you're coming here because, well, the big news is right now you guys have a Kickstarter cooking that has about 40 hours left or something.
Yeah, that's right. So we've made 12 miniatures for a podcast called Dark Dice. It's a kind of dark horror take on D&D, and it's sort of grown massively over the last year or so, mainly because the show's epic, and also because the one and only Jeff Goldblum managed to get on the show, and he plays one of the characters as an elf wizard, basically, called Bulma. So when we got the opportunity to, make some miniatures for it, we thought it'd be an amazing project to do. Make some miniatures, put them out on the market, and I think, as we were talking before, it's one of those interesting ones where previously we've always worked behind the scenes. So up until lockdown, where in the UK with COVID, we hadn't produced any products and put them out on the market. We'd worked for other companies, but
this is Strata Minis.
Strata Miniatures is the company, yeah. We made some cool miniatures over lockdown, and I think we'll probably talk about that in a bit. And it sort of led on to some other projects. So it's been great to work on, able to get creative and make some cool models.
Well, let's go back in time for a sec here. Before the lockdown, before whatever, let's go back to your superhero origin story, right? So how did
the origin?
Yeah, how did you get into gaming and geekery and whatnot, whatever flavors you're into?
Yeah, so I got into gaming a long time ago. I used to play a lot of sport when I was growing up. I suffered quite a bad injury to the point where I couldn't move around an awful lot for about a year.
Wait. You can't just throw out I had a life-changing injury. I say did you get hit with a cricket bat? What happened? What was the?
It was football or soccer, as you would call it. I broke 2 of the bones in the one leg, ripped my quadricep right the way through. It wasn't very nice.
Wait, how? Is soccer or football? Is it?
You can get hurt real bad.
Apparently,
yeah.
What happened?
It just a bad tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Just a really bad tackle.
I mean, you got
the guy had a sledgehammer.
Well, you have fully grown dudes running full tilt at you and then throwing their legs out with metal cleats. You can get messed up.
Apparently.
There's a lot of footage of guys getting their knee hit wrong and it goes the wrong way and you can mess up your legs real bad.
Also, you can just fall on the ground and roll around and got your leg and hope to throw a yellow card.
There is a lot of that in modern football, isn't there?
The theatrics of it. So you got taken out hard.
Yeah. So at the point I was playing semi-professionally, I was on the books training for professional clubs in the UK. Anyway, it was kind of at the end of my life to that point, if that makes sense.
Is that sort of that moment in the movie where you're 30 minutes in and there's a big turning point where disaster strikes and now you have to rebuild?
So I was kind of all in on that, and then that was no longer an option. So I was looking for sort of things to do, decided to do a degree in teaching, and part of that I ended up going and doing a lot of youth work in deprived areas. And one area that I worked in, there was a gentleman who ran that particular centre, and he was a wargamer. He was absolutely,
what kind of wargame? Was he a Warhammer guy, Napoleonic Wars? What was?
It was a mixture of historical stuff and Warhammer, basically. So I was doing some work over there, and he gave me a couple of models, a paintbrush, and 5 paints, and said, "Do you fancy having a go at this?" And I had a go at it, and
now you have a closet full of
never,
unpainted miniatures, and
yeah, that's it. So it kind of filled that kind of thing that I was missing because I could no longer do any sport, basically. So that's where it all came from. I've played all sorts over the years, war games, role-playing games, skirmish games, up to the point where when digital miniatures started to become a real big thing, when they first started, that's where we kind of started working and doing stuff behind the scenes, basically, and that's where Strata Miniatures came from. So
what was
I've
that?
got a few.
What was that origin like? How did you? Who put that together, and where did they
So
come from?
I've got a few friends who work in the industry, basically, digital designers, specifically in board games mainly, and it all sort of came through that. So at the time, I was studying, teaching, and all the rest of it, and
The
sort
rest
of
of it.
technical IT stuff. And one of them said, "Oh, do you fancy having a go at doing some of this 3D printing malarkey that was new at the time?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll have a go at that." And then I became quite good at that over the years. We've had all kinds of different printers, and technology's grown and all the rest of it. And I've gone from printing miniatures to prototyping miniatures to working on all the different mediums that you can think of. So casting in resin, pewter, plastic, pretty much every medium that you could have a miniature made in, I've worked with over the last 10 years or so.
And this is without any sort of formal training, right? You're all just self-taught then from doing
All
it?
self-taught, yeah. And I think a lot of the industry, if you speak to a lot of the sculptors, they'll have had some kind of background in art or technology or, one of those kind of areas, but it's just a passion. It's something they've done and enjoyed, and it's sort of grown. So, yeah.
Well, certainly a ton of what we do, you can't learn any of this in the school. There's nobody's teaching you how to do things the Dwarven Forge way. Like
I think it's
self-taught.
Yeah, I think as far as like a lot of the impetus for it goes too, especially if you're a war gamer, so much of being in that community, in that scene, is having to take it upon yourself to put these things together anyway. So it already gets you in that mindset of having to at least assemble and paint your own.
Oh no, how can I kit bash this? Or how can I make a thing? I just need an extra little barrel for my gun. What can I make this out of? What can I do? And next thing you know, you've got 3D printers and you're...
And I think if you love something, if you're really, really passionate about something, you'll always find a way of doing it, won't you? Whether that's scratch building stuff using, tins and bottles of pop and whatever you've got available to, in this case, it was trying to develop skills around printing and making miniatures, basically.
Why do you think you ended up being so good at being able to do 3D printing and prototyping and whatnot?
I think I was quite lucky in some ways to be surrounded by people. I always laugh that my local kind of gaming group is there are a load of board game people in there, a load of talented artists, and then there's me. So they've all got their armies, which look like every single one of them could win an award. Each miniature you could pick up and take it to a show and win an award with it. And then there's me, and it was kind of like one area that was kind of missing. And it sounds a bit funny, but the bit where you kind of analyze things and look at tolerances and all that kind of stuff, they weren't particularly interested in. And I'm quite techie and I like, IT related stuff, and that's what I was training in. So yeah, it was one of those where I just think it was a combination of being surrounded by the right people and having something that they weren't particularly interested in and I was no good at the other side of it. So I wasn't going to be sculpting, beautiful miniatures. I was going to be looking at how we can turn them into something, and I think it was just down to that, basically.
I love it. I'd say you have a party of all wizards and you're the fighter. It's suddenly like, wait a second, we really need this guy.
Yeah.
What you were saying before we came on the air, you were talking about how much you really enjoy sort of prototyping and figuring that stuff out. What is that process like for you? Like, what happens? Someone just hands you a mini and say, okay, we need this cast in bronze, and off you go? Or
so I sometimes even get involved before that. So at the point where there's concept art drawn. So, if you're looking at miniature design as a whole, one of the interesting things if you're trying to produce a castable miniature is that you can't just do whatever you like if you're a sculptor. You can't just, create any 3D image that you like and have it mass produced. It doesn't work because of the kit that's involved and the different tolerances and the type of materials that have to get put in to make the miniature or whatever model it is. So I get involved even at this kind of stage where it's, sketchy drawings, looking at poses, what is doable, what isn't doable.
So what happens? Look at this. Let's look at this image. This is concept art for your current Kickstarter, right?
That's right, yeah. So
what happens? You look at this and you're like, okay, what do we got? I got 5 things here. What do you start getting panicked when you see any of these designs, or do you start like, is it like a beautiful mind, or all these stuff's just going in your head and you're just figuring out draft lines or whatever?
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, some of these wouldn't be ideal. They're not uncastable by any stretch, but some are harder than others. Some miniatures I see the concept art for, and then I cry a little bit inside because I know that I'm going to be asked to do something with them. And you just think, if you're involved at this stage, you can say that bit there isn't going to work. It's going to have to be put into too many pieces for most modelers to enjoy putting it together. The piece is going to be tiny, so on and so forth. So,
like, what's the most egregious bit on these 5 poses here?
The most offensive part, probably the combination of the tail and the pose, and the axis that the model is on with the staff, and he's doing kind of flying kick and tail swirling around. That one there would be probably the most challenging to do out of everything that's there.
Well, if we were casting it in Dwarvenite, it would have a hard time because it's a soft material, and it would probably bend, like,
Yeah, anything where you've got, these kind of the tail curling in that kind of pose is tricky without it being closed. There's loads of bits to it basically, and it depends on what part of the process you look at. So that's why I get pulled in at this level, because I'll look at stuff and say, yeah, unfortunately, in this case, E looks like it probably shouldn't go any further. Yeah. Or we'd have to tailor and tweak that to make it, castable at the end. So, and if you can catch it at this stage, it's far less hassle than after you've sculpted the miniature.
Well, it's just a drawing. It doesn't exist yet. So
that's it. So the earlier that you get involved, if you're doing this kind of checking work and working with, in this case, it's working with a third party as well, because there are the characters and the voice actors that play these characters. So you're trying to balance permanently their expectations versus what's achievable, and and that's always a bit of a balancing act as well. So it's it's an interesting one. That model is actually all of those poses are actually not too bad. I would say they're actually quite good individual poses, and that actually comes down to the artists that we work with to draw these images as well, because they've got a lot of experience producing art specifically for miniatures, so they understand the casting process. So even the concept art at this level, the artist will be thinking, actually, I can't do that thing that I thought would be really cool. So yeah, and then all of these go through changes, and there's different stages. The client, in this case, Dark Dice as a partner, would look at these and say, okay, I don't like that, or I like that model's face, but I don't like the pose on that. So it's quite interesting to get in at this kind of level, really.
Well, you can also save them a nightmare when down the line the thing doesn't work, or they've already sold it and they can't actually produce it, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully we're quite good in the experience that we've got now, so that doesn't happen really. So I would always put a stop to something if I thought it was not going to be producible right at the beginning, and years of looking at models, you can kind of get an eye quite quickly for what will or won't work, and it's sometimes quite hard to explain to people as well what makes it possible to do versus not do, because there's lots of different factors that come into why a miniature can be made or will fail at the casting in the casting process. So yeah, this one they chose a particular pose. They wanted a certain style based on the character, who's called Ildrex, who's the Dragonborn monk. So then the artist basically starts to gradually develop it forward, again, going back at each of these stages. So we go backwards and forwards permanently at each of these stages until we start to put some character in. And this is where the sculptor's job becomes a lot easier if they've got this level of artwork or higher. Because they're not second guessing, is a character smiling or grimacing, or, what kind of pose they're supposed to be, what their muscles look like, all the rest of it. So it becomes a much easier job for the sculptor as well. So
it's awesome. So you said sometimes a mini can fail in casting, or whatever.
Yeah.
How much, on our end, so much of our process is failure, right? We are rapidly failing, right? Like we're trying to fail as quickly as we can so we get to the next thing, whatever, because there's a lot of trial and error, right? Things just don't work, and you're trying to learn from each thing. How do you face a lot of failure in prototyping and in casting? How do you approach it? How do you learn from it? How do you not want to just like pull your hair out and whatever? Like, how does failure play into your process?
It's probably the same as yourselves, really. Yeah, things do fail, and part of it is just that learning process. You get better each time, don't you? Every time there's a fail, you kind of learn a bit from it, and so over years you get much better at reducing the failures and increasing the successes. But for us, 3D printing and that market has kind of really helped with it. Previously, you'd be casting from green stuff sculpts or milliput or whatever a sculptor's favorite kind of putty is. So if you did get to a stage and the fingers were too thin, or the staff wouldn't quite work, or something wasn't possible to work with, then it would be a long process to go back and have it hand sculpted, because you'd literally have to cut the entire thing off and start again. Yeah. Whereas actually, because we've got lots of cheaper printers, like I've got in this is my little office at home, and I have a number of what I call prototype and cheaper printers scattered around me. There's about 15 printers in this
That's it?
I am surrounded by printers here, basically. Mainly because once I finish at the office, it means I can run prints overnight. I can, work from home, and I don't have to keep going backwards and forwards, basically. So yeah, you can't see, but the wall here is just full of printers, basically. There are 3 printers high up to the ceiling, running right the way across. So
I mean, I kind of want you to turn your camera around and see it.
I will in a bit. I'll try and turn it around.
Amazing.
And show you the mess.
Well, we live in. We live in mess. Like, you have no idea. We're everything. Yeah. There's creative chaos everywhere. So I thrive on that.
The great thing about that is, you can, a sculptor can give me a file tonight. I can have it run off by the morning. I can then go back to the sculptor at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning and say, you need to thicken the staff. You need to change the fingers so that they curl slightly more. And, half an hour later, I can have prototype 2, which would have those changes done to it. So it's really kind of streamlined that process to make failures, once you get to, once you get past the stage of prototyping onto looking at kind of masters and all the rest of it. Masters being what you put into the molds if you're going to produce miniatures that are, pewter or resin or Cyocast, which is a relatively new thing, as opposed to when they go abroad and you might get something done in China in plastic where they're basically machining stuff out of a metal block, basically. And then it gets a bit more serious because you don't want that to go wrong because it costs so much. So you don't want a mold to go wrong at that stage. So
we've had
we're intimately familiar with that part.
Yeah, then it gets a bit more serious, doesn't it? So So yeah, the printing side of it has been a real kind of game changer, I think, in terms of being responsive and speed and not having to worry too much that it's absolutely perfect first time round, because I don't think any sculpt is perfect first time round. There's always little bits that can be done to improve it, and that printing process has made that possible, basically. So,
do you get anybody sculpting analog anymore? Do you get any more green stuff masters, or is it all?
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually put some in molds 2 days ago. Yeah, so there's still a whole community of people, and I love it.
We use a ton of the majority of our mini sculptors are still doing it in green stuff.
Yeah, no, we love it, and I love casting in metal as well. which is the combat wheelchair miniatures that I think you've had them painted and you've had a few of, and they're all pewter. We love metal. I love kind of old hammer miniatures. I grew up in that kind of playing through all those games.
Yep.
So I really quite enjoy it when someone says I've got some more greens for you to have a look at and put into molds. It's quite exciting for me to have a go at. But yeah, I think there's room for both of them. I really like the way that some of the miniatures look when they're hand sculpted, and I really like some of the digital miniatures, and I think there's definitely room for both of those still. It's just purely from a workflow perspective. If there's a problem with a green stuff miniature or a miniature made of Milliput, it is slightly more problematic than if it's a digital file.
Terrifying. I mean, that's the only, like, if something goes wrong, that's it. Like, if that thing gets destroyed. One of our sculptors, Michelle, does some stuff in Sculpey, which is super brittle. She does a whole bunch of like iterative things, where she'll do little pieces and mold them and cast them, and then put those together into larger things and mold and do all these bits, and stuff will get shattered in the process. And sometimes it's the master, and she's like painstakingly like gluing stuff back together to like get it just so she can make a mold. And then once there's a mold, it's okay, because then she go to the next thing. But it's like you're holding your breath because it's the only thing in existence. And
yeah, one of the things I try and do with so I've got a lot of sculptors who produce miniatures, and they'll either sell themselves as small companies or be working for other companies. I always try and get them to come down to the workshop to see how miniatures get made.
That's awesome.
I always try and get them down to see, this is how you make a miniature, this is how this stuff flows if you're producing in this type of material, this is how the mold gets made, this is what you need to look out for. Because I think it really helps them as well, saves them a lot of trouble in the long run. And
everyone on our core team, our core sculpting team, all has made molds at some point, or is actively making molds or whatever. So they really understand the process. So exactly, when they're sculpting it, they can be really conscious of like, how is this actually going to get molded and cast?
Oh, absolutely. And I think until you do that, until you actually make a mold and you go, oh, okay, now I understand. That's why that happens. Yeah. It's quite hard to kind of explain that to somebody who just sent you a miniature that they've sculpted, and you're saying you can't have that like that, or this like this. So I often just say, just come down for the day, come down for 2 days,
and you'll learn it.
Yeah.
Then you won't waste 2 weeks next time like making a thing that you can't cast. So you said you guys had to deal with, on your Dark Dice Kickstarter, you guys had to deal with the voice actors in addition to the usual. How was that? Were there any weird demands or any challenges from having a third party in the mix?
No, nothing really that you wouldn't expect someone to ask. I mean, the thing is, you're taking their character, their kind of pride and joy, what they've been working on for years, developing, and you're trying to make that into a physical thing. So, there's always lots of kind of, can we change this ever so slightly? Usually to do with expression, and we like to get a lot of expression in the faces of our miniatures, because I think that's one of the things that really makes a set stand out. Is can you tell what type of character that model is just by looking at its face, or the way its shoulders are slanted or posed, or and I think sculpting a model for Jeff Goldblum is terrifying, because obviously you have to seek approval. It is one of those where, and sometimes what people don't see is that when you sculpt a digital miniature, it's on a huge screen, and when you show it to somebody else who isn't au fait with the whole process, they're looking at that model's on a 25mm base, so that model is 34mm high. But yet when they see the render, it's sometimes however big your screen is, which is ginormous usually.
14 inches tall, and
and they'll say, oh, the face doesn't quite look right, and you have to kind of say, when that face gets shrunk from what you're seeing here down to this tiny miniature, it changes completely.
There he is.
Look at that.
Nice technology, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how was Jeff Goldblum? Did he bust your balls?
No, not at all. No, he loved it. He loved that miniature. He's very excited about it. So we were very excited that he was very excited. So it was it was a brilliant kind of thing all around, really. But no, the cast and the crew have all been really good, and they've all been really interested in the process. So I've really enjoyed having meetings with them and saying, this is what happens when you squash a miniature down from this big to this big, and this is why you can't quite have the pose that you might want because of the casting process. But what we can do is this, which will kind of do the same but in a slightly different way. So it's been quite interesting, actually, and I think they've really enjoyed that as much as I've enjoyed kind of showing them how it all works, basically. So
yeah, that's been a fun process.
Yeah.
What so you build dioramas for these things, right? You guys did some really cool photos and whatnot. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, because that's one of your specialties, right? Like
Yeah. So every time we make some miniatures, we want to build a set for them to go in. And it's funny you were saying, like, you know, back when you years ago when I was starting wargaming, you would be cutting bits up and sticking bits down, and you know, obviously now we can print stuff off, or we had some of your brilliant new scenery in this one, for example, in this set. And it's one of those things where you get to be really creative, have a look at so the Dark Dice episodes, a large majority of them are set in a kind of dark forest, basically, focused around a shape-shifting monster called the Neverborn. So, and the Silent One, there's two bad guys, one in each set. But yeah, there's two, and it's kind of creepy dark forest. So building sets, I think, is brilliant. Telling a story, just like if you're role-playing, I suppose, you know, you want to build a world, don't you? You want to make it totally immersive and everyone kind of really, you know, get into character. And it's the same for us when we make dioramas for miniatures. You know, so yeah, we do it in a combination of different ways. Some very old-fashioned techniques where you're literally cutting foam board up and you know, bits of wire and the kind of usual stuff, you know, making molds of different bits and you know, using bark and all sorts of weird and wonderful things for different rocks and stuff, through to, you know, something like this where we've got, you know, your trees, some of your boards, and then it's about making the kind of atmospheric lighting to make it all kind of work. And you know, over the years we've kind of developed a way of doing that doesn't really require you to have an awful lot of technology to do.
yeah,
you know,
were saying you use just a bunch of household items, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know,
Are you going to reveal your secrets, the tricks of the trade?
Yeah, I can reveal that. I can tell you exactly how we shot that particular set with those bits, and you'll be thinking, "There's no way that you've done that with what you're just saying." But fundamentally, we used a couple of cheap tablets that we had. We used a single light source with a diffused light, which is just a lamp, basically, with you know, something sort of more than I wouldn't say translucent, kind of, you want it to be almost frosted in effect to diffuse the front light in effect. So we use like a frosted bit of plastic that we've got. It's all stuff that you can go down the, you know, you've probably got a tablet and a laptop in your house. You know, you can probably go and pick up some frosted glass or plastic, you know, from a scrapyard or wherever. And the real trick is to get the lighting in the right place and not have the lighting too harsh, especially the white light from the front, which I think where a lot of people make mistakes. They think, I'm going to photograph my miniature, so I'm going to flood it with light from all directions. And that doesn't work in this kind of context at that scale with these miniatures. It's basically two tablets, and we load up the equivalent of a paint application on it, and we fill the screen with different colors. So we literally just fill the entire screen. So, you know, if you were in paint, you would use a little paint icon, color the whole screen purple, color another screen red in this case. So we've got a red light and a purple light, and we found that tablets produce a good amount of light that doesn't overtake the miniature, so you get some really soft kind of shading, but it's not.
It doesn't have a hot spot or anything. It's just a
nothing.
smooth, right?
Totally even. And
it's a giant glowing
tablets.
red thing, a giant glowing blue thing. Put them on either
Yeah.
side. Put your desk lamp with the frosted glass in the front, and
I guess an iPad would kind of have the same kind of effect as a bounce board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a soft LED light or whatever. It's just a gentle, even light. And you can change the color.
Obviously, you can literally just repaint it a different color. So you keep going through until you find a nice combination. You know, the right tones, the right brightness. You can move the brightness up and down if you need to get, you know, one slightly more dominant than the other. In this case, the red is more dominant than the purple light, for example. And then the other trick is to only use one other light, which is the white light, and there's only one light source, and it's about 45 degrees angled from the face, and you move it back, and you take a few tests, and you keep moving it back until you get to the right point, and you end up with that. I mean, it's...
And you're shooting on like a super high-end camera with like an expensive lens and like
shot on the Red Epic.
Yeah.
Not at all. No. These are done on just smartphones.
See.
And
so it's an iPhone, a couple of tablets, a lamp, and a piece of dirty plastic. Right.
That's it. That is it. That is all you need to take those photos.
And some beautifully sculpted terrain and a miniature and a few days of painting.
Professionally painted miniature.
I mean, you know, that just finishes it. But fundamentally, if you've got miniatures, you can take photos, and you know, you can totally change the scene by changing those lights. I mean, you know, if you were to hit those with slightly different colors, a green and an orange color or a yellow color, all of a sudden it will look, you know, very kind of ethereal, swampy. It'll change the overall look of that picture completely just by changing the color on the tablets.
Is NPC Charles watching tonight?
I haven't seen him actually. He might be busy tonight.
Yeah, we have a bunch of our viewers like to take really cool photos. I bet they're gonna now they're scrounging around for their old tablets. And, like
Dinah's here and saying that she's like devouring all the advice. She does a lot of photos.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Steve O'Mancy's here. That's right. He does a ton too.
Woo!
Yeah, the only real weakness to a mobile phone I find is that it's got quite a short focal point in terms of if you're going to take if you had 50 miniatures, it would be a nightmare trying to do it. You'd have to take lots of individual photos and stitch them all together, which is quite a long job to do. But if you've got a dozen miniatures, it's very straightforward to do.
Oh. For in terms of making your dioramas and making scenery and whatnot, do you have any go-tos, like old tried and true, like every time you want to cut up some foam or something? What are your most recommended techniques that you end up using over and over again?
I mean, a lot of it is just down to, I think, knowing which materials work, which is kind of like a trial and error thing, isn't it? I really like bark for rock effects. Kind of like the bark that you would lay in your back garden if you had an area where the kids might be going or whatever. That kind of bark gives a really nice stone effect. There's certain other things. In the UK, I don't know about over in the States, but there's a blue foam, sometimes pink, I think, depending on where you are in the world.
Hard pink foam you
can sand. Yeah, that stuff. Find a supplier, because if you're into making boards and terrain and whatnot, you'll have them on speed dial basically. I think every time I call up, they just say the usual, and it just comes out basically on the back of a lorry, big load of it, and away you go. But that stuff's really great, and then it's just building up the right amount of the right tools, so files and the right sanding blocks and stuff that you need for the right size. That's mainly it. I mean, I think the rest of it is just to really have a go and just try things. Watch videos of people making stuff. What they use. So, those are the kind of real things that I would go for. That find a good supplier of foam, because I think that's used on every piece of board that I've ever made.
Do you have any videos of the stuff you guys have done?
Not us. No. Do you know what? It's actually, we were talking about doing a film of us literally making a set from nothing. And I'll tell you what is also very interesting is seeing the set in normal lights versus what it looks like when you affect it with, the different colored lights, smoke effects and all the rest of it, and how it changes. Because I think some people will look at some of the scenes and they'll think, oh, blimey, that must have took a lot of skill to produce that set. But honestly, I am not artistic really in any way, shape or form. And it's all mechanical. I've just learned to do it. But when you look at it from in plain light, you would think, oh, that's pretty, average for a display board. You wouldn't think I was, a master builder. But when you affect it with the right lights and you understand what you're doing on that side of it, it changes it completely.
So you have all the tricks up your sleeve.
Yeah.
What is? Wait, you were just talking about smoke and fog, whatever. What do you use? I'm obsessed with particles in the air. Like what do you use?
We've got just I've got a little smoke machine, almost like you'd have at a kids' party or whatever that we use.
It's a little fogger.
Simple as that, yeah. Just a little fog machine. We can also do it digitally as well, which is obviously. But what I would say is that some of the best pictures I've ever taken of miniatures are with that fog machine versus someone actually adding the smoke effect. There's nothing quite like getting that kind of natural.
You're speaking his language like exactly right now.
Oh yeah, half the time it's just waiting for the fog to do the right thing. Like we're shooting over and over again, trying to get like the fog to wander, do that magical. Like sometimes they'll just do a magical thing and
a lot of my favorite set photos from like my short film were just we'd blast the hazer and fill the whole room with haze and all that, and people would just like take pictures of people like working, and you'd get like visible shafts of light like of the sun coming through the window, just like the way that the particles just highlights all the light.
It's
is really
magic.
Nice.
It is I never get tired. Well, especially we shoot a lot of video of our miniatures, and everything is static unless the camera is moving. So the moving smoke then gives some life to the thing, right? None of your figures are moving, nothing's moving. So like having some drifting smoke in there just gives it an extra bit of life to it. Something that is, feels alive. I love it. Chasing smoke. Ugh. We've set up the smoke alarms off a number of times in this.
Yeah, we have a plastic bag taped around the smoke detector in here, which probably isn't okay. Yeah. I'm hoping if the place catches on fire, any of the smoke detectors anywhere else in the office will be fine, but just the one in the production room.
Yeah, we don't.
The place where it's most likely for a fire to start. Yeah.
And you even learn with the smoke machine when the perfect point is to take the photo. There's that kind of short period where it's not too thick, it's not sepal, it's just right,
and then it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it fills the room, and you gotta wait and do it again.
Yeah.
You open up the door, and just like a bunch of smoke rolls out, and then the fashion company that shares a floor with you just sees like a bunch of smoke like
every time
billowing out of your doors.
You guys.
Yeah.
So, in terms of running a Kickstarter, how has this experience been for you guys?
It's been good. I mean, everyone's been very responsive to the miniatures. We've had loads of good feedback. A lot of people will have had some of the other miniatures that we've made in the past, so they know that. I think one of the things I've been trying to stress is that we're trying to make kind of the best quality miniatures, or some of the best quality miniatures on the market, and it's one of those things, isn't it, where you want to produce. For us, these projects are kind of a side part of our core work. Our core work is still working behind the scenes for a lot of other companies. So this is kind of a way for us to just, pick fun projects to work on and make cool stuff and try and push the boundaries of what we can produce, if that makes sense.
So it's the fun stuff between all the work that's actually paying the bills. This is like your chance to do something exciting.
Yeah, and as a team, you can just, have fun.
Take a little victory lap.
Yeah, it's fun. It's been a great experience. I've been involved with lots of Kickstarters over the years, so kind of I'm used to the bits that go on alongside it and behind the scenes and all the rest of that. It's but it is totally different running your own, isn't it? Doing your own Kickstarters, it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's.
You know,
Do you feel like a different, like, do you feel like you let go more when you're designing something that is like your project versus working for someone else?
Good question.
yeah, I think sometimes it's kind of hard to sort of put into words. Sometimes you're working completely to someone else's tune, so to speak. You don't have room to do anything else. Your job is to do what they need to make their project successful, and sometimes that's a style thing. Sometimes that's you know, what the end product is going to be produced in, kind of thing. Whereas it's been more about us having freedom to say, okay, we want to do this way. Obviously, the cast of Dark Dice have been involved on that kind of thing, but that's been very kind of fun in a way, to talk to them about, you know, what creatively we can do and how we can make their miniatures look the way they look. But I think a lot of the time you kind of, it's the job for us. Our job is to make other people's miniatures come to life in the way that they want them, rather than this, which is something where we can, you know, it's our product range in effect, so we can have that kind of creative input onto how these miniatures have come out, basically.
What you said you're striving to make the best quality miniatures out there. What makes like a high quality miniature to you? Like what are the traits or features, or why are these the best?
Purely as an organisation that's worked in this industry quite a long time, from, you know, a miniature production perspective, it's about what materials you choose. It's about what machinery you use to produce your masters. At every step of the way, from the point the digital sculpt comes into my lap, basically, you can lose detail in each step. So the print, you can lose detail. The casting process and the mold making process, you can lose that detail. The material that you choose, you can lose detail, and the amount of detail that you lose. Obviously, having amazing sculpts help to start with. It can differ massively depending on what you choose. So, and how you go through that process. So, what we've tried to do is at each stage use the best mechanical item available, the best printers, the best materials, you know, the best way of making molds. I mean, even making the molds, that's a massive thing, you know, in terms of the end miniature quality. You know, there's a massive bit all around that where you can lose probably as much detail just on that alone as the entire rest of the process put together. So I think it's really interesting that, you know, we can take a step back and say, okay, the aim here is to make miniatures which are really nice to paint, which comes from the sculpting side. And then from a material perspective, look at how we can make the best possible end product from that particular sculpt in that process. So a lot of it's just down to quality and understanding and experience, I think. Drawing on the skills that we've got from working for other people and flooding that all into, you know, so that's the kind of quality of miniature that we want to be sending out to people at the end.
What are the these are cast in resin?
Yeah, so we've opted to use a Sirecast for this particular project. A couple of reasons for that. Metal pricing is becoming more and more expensive, so the cost to the end consumer is skyrocketing. Postage rates are going up, so weight comes into it. And we had a look at, you know, we cast in loads of different ways. So traditional resin casting with silicone molds, vulcanized metal molds, Sirecast, which uses a vulcanized mold but an injected sort of resin plastic, I suppose is the best way to describe it. And we looked at all the different things that were available, and, you know, we like the detail on resin, but it doesn't ship particularly well. Your resin is, you know, what you use on your products is brilliant. You know, you can throw it against the wall; it's amazing.
PVC,
yeah, it bounces off. You catch it; it's, you know, it's fine. The plastics and stuff, but traditional resin at this scale, it can be problematic to ship out, especially if you're shipping worldwide and it's being kicked around a few customs bays and all the rest of it. So we looked at that. We looked at metal. Metal was going to be probably too expensive at the end for most of our customers to, we don't want to be charging more than we have to for this stuff. We've used a lot of Sirecast in the past, so we've got a lot of experience producing molds and making, it's almost like the best of the two mixed in a way. It's
and don't
durable,
they have a new material now?
Yeah, they're always working on the formula for the granules, the little pebbles that you get basically, and they've produced a hard version in effect. So yeah, it's just them evolving their line, producing different types of products basically.
It seems like they have an enormous amount of momentum, sort of everywhere we turn, running people that are using Sirecast.
I think there's a lot of reasons for it as well. I think some of the costing stuff I just said about some of the other products going up, durability is a big thing. But I also think the machine is, once you understand the molding process properly, the machine is really economical in terms of how many you can produce from a single machine. And I think that, the end product is as detailed as a resin or metal miniature. So I think that's probably why you're probably hearing so much about it. I think it's
if you make the same quality faster and cheaper.
That was the thing that was like getting me. It was like when it feels like around a year ago, I started like hearing about this so much. They were saying like, oh, it's cheaper, it's faster, it's more detailed, it's more durable. I'm like, so it literally like, where's the it's kind of hard to believe, and we don't have any like experience using it, but like, does that hold up? Like, does it actually feel like it sticks to that promise?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good product. And like any bit of new technology, there's a big learning curve to produce the best possible miniatures. The same as metal casting or any, the mold making process. It's one of those where if you put the time into it and you're making quality molds and the miniatures that are coming out of it are brilliant. The other thing that I really like as a company, we're quite big on kind of environmental impact and all the rest of the things that revolve around that. And one of the other benefits of the Sirecast machine is that your waste goes back into the machine.
Wow.
So in order to get optimal, perfect Sirecast, you're taking your sprue, and it's designed this way. Your already cooked sprue, and you're mixing that in with new pellets in effect. So there's no leftover, sprue channels or any bits. Once they're removed, they go back in and produce more miniatures. So in terms of waste, it's
amazing.
Pretty fantastic, yeah.
Well, we have. Do we have any questions from the chat? We have just a delightful group of folks that tune in every week, and love to turn them over, throw you to the wolves a little bit, and see if we have any questions.
We've got one from Finley Shards.
Of course. Hey,
Finley. So, important question: how viable would a giant, say, lava worm mini be to produce? we have this. For context, we have this master for this. You're gonna go grab it.
Yeah, it's easier to see it than
just. You'll see it. We have this massive mini. It's hard to even call it a mini. It's this massive lava worm that we designed to make in Hellscape, and then we looked at it, and it's like there's no way to make this. It's a phenomenal looking sculpt, but it's absolutely massive. It would be so many parts to do it in Dwarvenite at least. It'd have to be so many parts and then put together. It'd be so many molds. Yeah, it's more of a maxi than a mini. All right, he's bringing it in now. He almost broke this on stream because he thought it'd be funny. Just smashed it on the ground.
Funny. It was the culmination of the big.
I mean, are you asking me whether it's castable or whether it's viable to be cast? There's sort of two bits to it. It's totally castable.
Yeah, Finley's wondering if this would be possible. Yeah.
Yeah, you could cast that.
You could cast that in COcast?
No. It would have to be in a different material. So the limitations, a bit like a metal mold, are about 4 inches. So I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't, without seeing it in my hands, that you couldn't put it into one, but I mean, you would opt probably for a standard resin for something like that in a custom silicone mold, one piece with the maybe a break halfway through, and also the kind of the mantle part, the pincers and all the rest of it would be cast separately. But it's not.
How about the LED that goes in the mouth?
Right, it was supposed to be an LED piece.
Yeah, there's an LED in the mouth, so it has like hot lava mouth.
So we would literally have wiring running all the way through its body up to its mouth from the base.
We'd put the battery in the neck.
Okay, and the switch would be okay.
Well, where would you put it? This is for science.
I mean, you can in resin, if you were clever, you could actually run a tube in each miniature, running right the way through its body if you got the curvature right on it and knew what you were doing. And then underneath you could fit a power unit and a switch, so we're told a battery.
All right, well, we have conclusive expert proof that the worm that will never be maybe could be.
I don't know, that sounded pretty complicated still.
But it's not impossible, you see.
It's not impossible, but it could be cost prohibitive.
That's the main thing. That's part of the possibility.
What else? What other questions do we have from our delightful audience?
Let's see. If anybody else has any other questions, show him some light up pieces if he hasn't seen them. Oh, they've got a ton of Wildlands there. I'm sure he's seen LEDs. Let's see. I can hear the rumblings if Dwarven Forge produced this about how much more expensive it makes the terrain in the same Kickstarter.
Yeah.
we sell the worm like at a loss, but we raise the prices on everything else.
The PlayStation model. Yeah.
Oh, question. Show us your printer wall.
Oh yeah, printer wall. Oh.
Don't know what. It's probably, I can probably shift. There's a few printers behind me.
Oh, you've got the wheelchair mini behind you.
Yeah.
I've got one of.
Printers there.
I've got every one of that line.
I love this side. There's another printer there. I don't know if you can see. There's another printer there. Look. And then all of the walls here, they're closed cabinets.
Go for it. Oh.
Let's see if I can move it around. My camera won't reach that far, but I don't know if you can see.
Oh my god.
There's printers all the way down.
Oh my god.
All the way down there, 3 high to the wall, basically.
Woo!
Wow. Man.
Yay! Let's
a lot of printers.
We should have done a printing challenge. We've sent it like a.
We've got like 2 hidden in the closet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like
so these are the.
closet.
So I got these ones here, and then there's another. Well, there's another load as well.
And this is just your home. This is just at home.
This is I'm sat in my little log cabin in the garden, basically, where I work from home. And then the workshop has got the more expensive printers in that we use to make masters from, basically.
Imagine that's probably where the COcast machine is, huh?
We got all sorts there. We got casting pots. We got you name it, laser cutters. Yeah, all the kind of.
I guess that's true. If you do so much work for other companies, I guess you would have to have basically a whole production facility, like in your office, to handle all that.
Awesome. Yeah, we get asked to do all sorts of different things. So it's again, but that's over time. It started off with certain bits, and you buy a next piece of kit and the next piece of kit, and before you know it, you gizmo overload. It's
love it.
So how much costs to produce molds for COcast, and how long does it last?
So an average mold, if you were to go to a caster, is somewhere between 280 and 320 pounds a mold.
It's way cheaper than ours.
But you get
I know the prices of the molds.
But it runs out, right? You can do 600 castings or something. Or...
So I know how much it costs to get molds done. But it's about that for a mold. In terms of pulls, between 600 and 700 pulls per mold. Yeah. Depending on the miniature and
it's a production run,
the cuts and all the rest of it. That's roughly, ballpark, depending on where you go. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a bit less. It just depends on what's going into it, basically.
Mm. Nice. What resin printer do you recommend for the home user?
Ooh. What are they printing mostly? Is Different miniatures?
That's fair. Yeah, I guess that's the question then. And do you have a different answer for if it's miniatures versus terrain? Yeah.
I think from a miniatures perspective, any of the common household 4 or 8K printers are all pretty much in the same league as each other. I mean, I use LED printers. I've got Frozen Sonics. I've got all sorts of different, standard desktop printers that I use. I don't think it really matters that much, really. What you're looking for is 4K and above if you want to make nice miniatures, really nice miniatures. That's what I would go for. And then depends on how big the miniatures are that you want to print as to which one you go for. Each of those main household kind of names for printing, they all have various sizes. So Elegoo have the Mars 3, which is 4K. They have a Saturn, which is about twice the size of the standard build plate from a Mars 3. And then they get bigger and bigger and bigger until they get, so big that I'm not entirely sure what you print on it, to be brutally honest. But,
machine parts.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
We predominantly use resin printers, but I know obviously for terrain, a lot of people use FDM printers.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what you're doing. But the miniatures, I would say any of those,
I have
fine.
an important question for you. What's a good secret word for our giveaway? What's your favorite word?
Well, what without plugging the company and saying Strata Miniatures?
Goldblum.
Strata? Yeah.
Strata.
What do you want? What's your secret word?
Let's go with Bulmer, who's Jeff Goldblum's character from the Kickstarter. How about that?
Awesome.
Balmur?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, wow, you got it. Balmer, Balmur. If you want a chance to win a $50 Dwarven Forge gift card, type that in chat. It is an international giveaway. Doesn't matter where you live. You can get that. Get some free stuff off of our store.
Type Balmer in chat.
Yeah, I'll run that for about 5 minutes. Any Balmers in chat?
Any Balmers?
Yeah. Embalmers?
Any final questions?
Well, let's plug the Kickstarter for sure.
Yeah.
So, elevator pitch, Dark Dice Kickstarter, miniature line based off of a very well done actual play podcast. It is audio only. Yeah, it's not a video cast. Yeah.
Yeah, it's audio.
Yeah. It's got like the whole cast, like 2 seasons worth. What's the total miniature count on the entire thing?
12, right?
12 miniatures in total. Yeah, 2 box sets of 6 miniatures. One from season 1 and one from season 2.
Excellent.
And it's only up for another day and a half.
Yeah,
that's right.
Pretty short campaign, which I envy that.
Our next one's going to be shorter than our previous.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're learning from everybody else.
The 28-day
you don't need to do
it.
Yeah. 30 days is a thing of the past.
Yeah, I'll put the link to the Kickstarter in again. I just didn't want it to get buried in everybody typing Balmer in chat. So there we go. There's a Kickstarter there. Really, really high-res stuff. I have, like I said, like the thing on the poster behind Lee there, the wheelchair mini, is from the Dungeons and Diversity line, where they worked with Sarah, or Mustang's Art, who is a designer that made like a free PDF download for 5e. It's a combat wheelchair. I think they might have... Did they also make like a conversion for Pathfinder and stuff?
I can't
remember.
Definitely a 5e.
Yeah, made like a big like combat wheelchair and like ways for it to function with every class. So they made like a line of miniatures in wheelchairs, and one for every class, and each is like a different like race class combination, and like every wheelchair is like very different
so
kind of class.
clever.
There's so many clever details. I love like all the vines and like roses on the druid's wheels, and
the bard has like strings on it.
A lot of really fun. They're just like super detailed. Probably some of the most detailed minis I've painted.
There's heart. There's a lot of care in there. So what's next for you guys? You have this Kickstarter running for a couple of days. Do you have any plans you can announce here? Breaking news?
Nothing just yet from us. There are some things that may be coming about, but I can't talk about them, unfortunately.
Fair. What do they rhyme with?
I can't even tell you that, unfortunately. But the other thing is that, because again, the other problem I have is when people ask me this, companies that I work for, I can't even reveal anything about those either. So
you're behind the curtain in a whole bunch of projects that'll be going live in the next several months.
Yeah. Those NDAs, I've been in a lot of trouble with.
The best.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, Lee, thank you so much for being here. Lee from Strata Miniatures with the Dark Dice Kickstarter live now. It was really nice to chat about prototyping and casting and just
miniature
using a couple of iPads for your miniature photography. It's
yeah,
great.
could you imagine if we didn't have
a bunch of lights?
Like 20 lights hanging from the ceiling right now and more in the corner? Yeah.
I can imagine this world. We'll just get 20 iPads and hang them from the ceiling instead.
I'll send you a picture the next time we do some photos and you'll show.
Yeah, I want to see a behind the scenes making of.
It'd be really cool. Yeah, I really hope you make like a nice little behind the scenes doc at some point. It'd be really interesting to see like how that whole process comes together.
Yeah, no problem.
Indeed.
All right.
Well,
thanks for having me.
So much.
Yeah. Thanks for coming
on.
It's
very late here. I'm off.
Thanks for staying up late. We appreciate it.
That's all right. It's lovely to chat to you all. Bye.
Good night. All right, let's roll this giveaway.
Yeah. Rolling giveaway. If you haven't typed Balmer, Balmur, you've got like 15 seconds to do. Oh, 10 seconds. Oh man,
9 seconds.
I'm getting things.
5 seconds. It's getting out of control.
I'm reverting back to our non-guest setup now, real quick, while I
stall
for time.
Also talking.
All right, perfect. All right, and we're rolling it. Hey, Siriu. It's very close to say "Are you," which was my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card when I played Yu-Gi-Oh. Because I got it. I think I got it. How did I even get it? I got it like through some event, and it was not even a particularly like. It wasn't a particularly good card for being like a 2-summon. Yeah, it was very sentimental. Well, it always felt like it managed to show up when I needed it. Was the thing? It was always like the thing where it's like, oh, thank God, like
get you out of your jam.
Yeah, it was just enough. All right, so Siriu, I am whispering you right now. Just need to get your email. We can get the gift card attached to your account.
Heart of the cards.
Boom.
All right, so we are going to look at talk about cities and castles compatibility. And first let's talk about upcoming Cities Untold Kickstarter. So our latest and greatest launch date is January 15th of 2020. What year is it right now? 2023.
Oh man, I was trying to say 3 because I was trying to make it a joke like, oh, it's going to be a whole year. I meant to say 24, and 23 is actually next year.
Okay, so it is January 15th at high noon Eastern time, which is a Sunday, our traditional launch day. I know many people launch their Kickstarters on Tuesdays. Our traditional launch day during Kickstarters is Sundays, with the logic being that a lot of people are at home and can just hang out and watch and I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's also a thing of like
superstition.
Superstition. Yeah. Well, it's I don't know. It we were looking at the holidays and it's like asking people to devote their time to keeping up with the campaign, like when they've got all their family events going on and they're having to think about.
Well, it is a 3-day weekend, which is a little rough, but it's sort of we couldn't push it later, and earlier is too close to the holiday break. So it was kind of it was the Goldilocks spot.
Yeah.
Well,
the Goldilocks zone. Why do I know that? Right, that's why Earth exists. Never mind. The Goldilocks zone is the distance from the sun where a planet can actually sustain life. Yeah.
It's us. We are Goldilocks, Chris.
Can you believe I'm not educated?
No.
I could have.
After all those years at clown college.
I could have been an academic. Yeah. Man, I'm very passionate about a lot of that stuff, and I went to an acting school.
All right, so we will January 15th at noon. We will have come hell or high water. That is it. Delays, chalets. We're blazing ahead.
Yeah.
One way or another, we're launching then.
We're gonna give you. We're gonna give you whatever we got on January 15th.
I mean, I think this is the third time we've moved this this point, so we're that's it. We can't
I
move
mean,
anymore. There's been a lot going on.
It's the same story with Wildlands.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. This one had extra, I don't know. I feel like we've had extra delays and challenges before launching.
The biggest thing with this is we had to rework our whole prototyping process because we decided to do something that requires a lot of engineering to be done up front.
See, that was our mistake, Chris. We changed.
No, because here's the thing. Because what we're doing is genuinely going to change the way that people are able to do city encounters. We're doing stuff that nobody's been able to do on the tabletop before.
We're going to be able to show stuff next. When's our next Cities Deep Dive? Oh, it's a long way.
It's like 3 weeks. We just had it last week.
We have a whole bunch of actually functional pieces with flat peg holes and biscuits and whatnot.
We
have
roofs with biscuit holes now.
We have roofs, we have floors, we're going to have scaffolding, we're going to have a whole bunch of stuff to actually show at the end of this month. So buckle up for October 26th. I don't know, I made that up. It's
October 26th?
I don't know, whatever the last October.
I can pull that right now.
October of Wednesday. The last Wednesday.
It's literally 26th.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
It's 3 weeks away. Vice. Yeah, so we'll have lots of stuff to show you then. All right.
Yeah.
Wait, thoughts on? I mean, not that we can do anything about it, but that's our launch date.
Oh,
Is
people
okay with that?
got questions. How did the Good Luck launch on Sundays go for Wildlands? Phenomenally.
Yeah, $1 million.
I don't know how much. I'm not convinced that Sunday had anything to do with it, but I think it was just a lot of things. I don't know. Wildlands was just killer. Have you figured out how much cash I need to set aside for an all-in painted?
Probably around Wildlands.
I think coming around the same. Well, it's interesting with like an all-in painted with this approach, since we don't have like encounters to string together and stuff. It really is just kind of like
we're gonna have a whole bunch of hero buildings and stuff. It's gonna be
interesting to see.
It'll be about a Wildlands level for the whole shamil.
Yeah.
Where is it? Yes, we're gonna do more often. So we said
oh, you saw Jade Kind.
Yeah, are we doing more often, more frequent? Yes, we're going to be doing cities. It'll be like the month or so leading up is going to be just nonstop.
Probably starting near the end of next month, we're going to be shifting into all we're doing is talking about cities. Yeah.
Or mostly cities with something else peppered in or whatever. There's going to be probably cities every week. Some of it is going to be.
It's gonna hit a point where we really won't have the capacity to do much other than talk about the Kickstarter.
No, we'll just be obsessed with whatever we're on. We'll show you the latest. We'll show you the greatest.
Same thing happened with Wildlands. When we got super close, we didn't stream as often, but every time we streamed, it was basically about Wildlands because it was all hands, just that,
all Wildlands all the time. What other? Any other?
6,500? Yeah, I would estimate around then. We'll have better ideas the closer we get to the Kickstarter, and then it's time for sci-fi. Yeah, probably.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We got a couple of things to sort out with it, but yeah, that's the hope is to do. The hope currently is to do 2 small Kickstarters in 2020. Well, I guess 3. If this counts, right? I'm still thinking this is our 2022 Kickstarter, but technically it would be a 2023. But yeah, the theory is to, in that calendar year, do 2 small ones. But we'll see how it all pans out. Because so far, none of our plans have ever gone the way we planned them. So we'll see how it all goes.
We are in the process of shifting, though. I think honestly, the spot that we're in for next year, I don't see a lot of delays happening.
I didn't see a lot of delays happening up to this point either, but they happened. Yeah.
I did.
Oh, 3D stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of surprise attacks, but we do have. The good news with sci-fi is we have a bunch of development work done on it. We have a very manageable scope in mind. Like I think we're going to be ready to start sculpting sci-fi. Like as soon as this Kickstarter launches, I think dev team is going to be making sci-fi stuff.
Yes.
So I think we can have a pretty fast turnaround into that, and it should be a manageable command. I also think I think we might try running that on GameFound and see what it's like doing it on another platform, because it's a pretty cool platform. Really great integrated. With stretch goals and add-ons and
with how much of like a stretch goal company we are. Yeah, it's a thing where we're kind of like, should we explore other avenues and see what it's like to.
Yeah, just try it on something that's a not our flagship. And
how much commission / cut does Kickstarter take from each campaign? And do the pledges and Pledge Manager go 100% to the creator? Pledge Manager isn't 100%, but it's a smaller cut than Kickstarter, I believe.
Kickstarter takes 8%. We've worked a deal with Pledge Manager, so we do a flat fee rather than a percentage. And GameFound is a similar percentage.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is Cities Untold a small Kickstarter? Yeah, we actually scaled back to like 50 pieces.
No, it's big. It's maybe too big. We were looking at Tyler's like, maybe we should hold some of these and some of these today. So we will see.
I don't like change, but if you move, it'll force me to get used to it, and I'll be tempted by other GameFound campaigns. Well, it's the whole thing of like, we don't want to. A smaller project seems like the safer thing to like test it out with.
Yeah. Which is more manageable across the boards, and
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. It's all a concept right now, but it's certainly from a creator standpoint, it's a much more robust platform. Like Kickstarter, like there were more options to build a MySpace page than there are to build your Kickstarter page. Like it's just the worst.
They made it less functional over time terrible. Is the thing that gets me. I remember running Kickstarters years ago, and it was better than this.
Yeah. No, like, they've gone in the wrong direction, and it's not like they're not embracing the reality of how people actually run Kickstarters, and yeah,
it's very weird. Is the gap between painted and unpainted wider than Wildlands for Cities 2? I think it probably depends on the piece.
I think Ashlar will be Wildlands style, and I think Wood will be a little less than Wildlands style.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Wildlands was a pretty complicated paint scheme.
Yeah,
but we'll see. The prices just across the boards are going up. It's like
it's the reality of
It's
the reality of production. Let's see.
So we'll see how that all goes and evolves, and we will dive into it a whole bunch end of the month. October. Any other final questions on that before we look at cities and castles?
Not seeing any other questions, but wherever we go, I'll follow. But would like to try GameFound. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're curious to poke at it and try it out. There's really, I don't know, just the functionality seems, it's just so good across the board.
Many of the things that we've expressed frustration with when running campaigns, they seem to have direct answers for. Yeah.
Yep. Well, they built it to do what Kickstarter should be doing.
What's GameFound? So GameFound is a crowdfunding platform, but it is basically entirely gaming.
Well, they looked at how Kickstarters work, and they're like, well, we better have some way to integrate stretch goals. So there's a whole back-end stretch goal thing that you can put in the unlock amounts and what the thing is and whatever, and it automatically does it as soon as you hit the thing. It unlocks the stretch goal for you. Like, it automates all this stuff that Kickstarters are doing anyway. Add-ons, it has a robust add-on thing. It has its own built-in pledge manager system in there. It has it's a much more friendly. It's got multiple tabs. It's designed. It's like a modern version of Kickstarter, essentially.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of interesting, cause we've been talking about it a bit, and there's a lot of interesting kind of trade-offs with it. Like, one, Kickstarter is way better known, and it's way more used.
We get a lot of traffic from Kickstarter. Like, being on Kickstarter, we get a lot of discovery traffic.
But also, GameFound is explicitly for gaming projects, so everybody that uses that site is people looking for gaming, and there's less projects on there, so it's a whole thing of there's less people using it, but it's easier to be seen by the people who are using it. So I don't know. It's an interesting. It's why we want to try it out. There's a lot of stuff where it's until we actually try it.
It's something we're contemplating. Then this would be sometime down 2023 for sci-fi. Maybe try it out.
Yeah.
See what happens. But we will be on tried and true Kickstarter for Cities Untold. So don't worry. No radical change coming just yet. January 15th at noon. We will launch on Kickstarter, see what happens. Yeah, I'm pumped to finally get this thing out there. It's gonna be lively.
Yes.
Why are these sticking together? I'm like, is there a
surprise compatibility we weren't aware of?
Yeah, discovered. Let's go look at. Let's go look at this thing. We got. So we shot Getting Started with Cities, a couple weeks ago?
Yes, and it's almost done with editing. But one thing we decided, we were gonna have a section that was hey, here's a bit showing how cities like is cross compatible with castles pieces and how to use them together.
You threw it out lightly as like, oh, you know what? While we're doing this, you should just like do a little thing about castles, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And you're like, oh, you can do this. And I'm like, whoa, but what about this? And
Well,
you're
we
like,
started exploring.
But
We're like, oh, there's so much there.
And then this. I'm like, oh, did I ever show you this? And you're like, with it, and it was like, it started snowballing into this thing. We're like, this video is gonna be an hour long.
Well, we did it on stream, and like all you guys were talking, and you're all like, we had no idea any of this stuff existed. And so it's like, okay, there's a major gap in our communication around this line, and we should address it, but it feels like it needs to be more than a side thing in this Getting Started with Cities
we didn't want to take over the Getting Started with Cities video with it.
Yes.
So we did a little...
So we have a little bit of it that's just showing
60 seconds.
Yeah. We have like a little 60 seconds that shows a couple things. It's like, hey, here's like 2 sets that are really useful to use with your... to use with Fieldstone and like how it can like change your build. And then we're going to kick it off to this other video. So this video is going to be the first in a series of things. It's going to be a bit of lighter in terms of like production value, and it's less about kind of a first look into an environment, but it's going to be kind of like a builder's masterclass series basically that is going to be about second steps. So like the basics of this stuff. You've got some sets, you've put together some builds. Here are techniques and sets and stuff that are really interesting to like get into once you're familiar with like our basic pieces. And so the first one will be
a builder's masterclass, as it were.
Yeah, and so the first one will be, hey, here's like a hands-on video of all of the cool castles cross-compatibility stuff that we have. And so all the stuff that we wanted to talk about that we discovered on that stream is getting kicked off into that video, which will be the first of hopefully a good amount of videos that will fill you in on guys, or fill you guys in on stuff that we're gonna fill you in on guys. Hey,
that's Chris's specialty.
You heard about this? You heard about this gender?
Wait, what is it?
Men.
Huh.
Heard about that?
Doesn't sound like a good idea.
Wild. Men?
No.
I gotta be honest. Not a fan.
No,
generally speaking.
I don't
generally
think we
speaking.
should support this.
Not great.
Not a good plan.
Yeah. So we and we're gonna cover some other things in it. So so the first thing would be
that's what we wanted to go down. As we were talking about it was yesterday. We were like, I kind of went through a list. Said, hey, why don't we talk about it on the air and see if there's anything we're missing, see if there's anything else we should do, and whatever. So what do we have on the list, Chris? So the idea is we're gonna go through. We're going to go through the stuff. You tell us if there's anything else we're missing, and we'll demonstrate some of it. I have a lot of stuff here, a lot of toys. I pulled out.
Yeah, because I got a list. I've got like 7. Is it 7? I feel like I've got like 7 different things where I'm like, right. Here's like the stuff that I thought of that are topics we want to touch on. Some of them involving multiple sets.
Why don't we give them a list first? Then we'll ask if there's anything else that's missing on it. Then we're going to do some demos of the stuff on that list and see if anything comes up along the way. How does that sound?
Yeah. Also, there are a couple people in chat when we were talking about it. I just wanted to address who said that they've been buying castles because of that stream. And yeah, nice. I've been watching, and we started selling castle sets that we haven't sold in.
Well, buckle up because you might buckle your wallet in. We're going to do some stuff tonight.
Yeah, we're going to show you some more stuff. And hey, Cities isn't happening until January, so what are you going to do with all that money?
January 15th.
Okay, so...
And in fact, the pledge manager for it might be open through tax season, depending on how it all times out. So.
I think that's a good thing.
It's probably realistic.
Yes. Showing us stuff that is in stock, though. Some of it is, some of it isn't. We debated only showing stuff that's in stock, but the thing is, I want people to know everything that's there, because even if it's out of stock, that gets the hype for it, and we can justify bringing it back better.
And things will come back in stock, right?
Yes.
So we're
probably
not going to do a demo with the Necromancer's Keep because we're not going to restock that ever.
Yeah.
But like generally, we're going for stuff. And in fact, in the Getting Started with Cities video, we realized 2 sets that we really need to bring back. We also may have renamed them in the middle of the video.
Yes.
But we have, it's helping us dig into some of the sets that we got to push for getting this thing back. So there will be some sets that are out of stock that are in that list, but some of you may already have them, and we're going to work towards getting this stuff. I don't know if you noticed, we've been restocking sets that you've been asking for.
If they're not in stock, they are sets that we can restock and want to restock. And so this is kind of like committing to, okay, we feel like these are core to the Castle's experience, and we want to get these back in.
We have like 1,000 lantern posts coming in or something because
we have a ton of those LED lantern posts.
You guys were like, we don't have any lantern posts. You bought them all the first restock, so we've got a whole bunch more. So like, we're working on getting stuff back in stock bit by bit. Yes. Not gonna happen overnight, but
So we're gonna try to start working these Castle sets into the restocks. So you know how I said 7? It's actually 8 topics. This just keeps growing. So the first one is the balcony bridge add-on pack, which I think in the video we changed to being Fieldstone balcony set or something.
It's for this.
Yes, and so it actually has like 2 use cases, and it's going to we're going to demo it with a large watchtower, to like show some of the compatibility.
So, balconies and bridges. Yay!
Yeah.
Okay. That's one thing we're going to show. What else are we going to show?
The next topic is suspended parapet. How to add towers onto your CBS buildings, basically.
This is where the heck? Man, I have a lot of buckets in there. Okay, this guy, right? How do you use the ice cream cone?
Yes. Yeah. How do you use this piece? What can you do with it? Bridge of Valor. We're going to cover a little bit.
Oh man, I didn't get a Bridge of Valor, but yeah, Bridge of Valor. Woo, Valorous Bridge.
Because it's technically a castle piece.
Well, technically
you can put the battlements on it.
Yeah, you can put crenellations on it.
Yeah, it castles it up a bit. It lets you make like a gate that feels castle-y.
It looks cool. It feels like
it can make kind of an alternative gate situation.
Yeah. If you don't want gates in your gate.
And also, I mean, we didn't talk about it anywhere else, so we got to show people this Bridge of Valor.
Yeah, Bridge of Valor for the win.
Crenellations and battlements, the difference between them and how you build with them, and that'll also include how to use roof platforms and dwarven pillars as support systems.
We got ourselves some battlements. We got ourselves some crenellations. We got. Yeah. If you like matriculations, we got you covered.
And yeah, Rabbit, I know it's from cities, but that's crenellations are from cities and battlements are from.
But then we also did crenellations in castles also.
The point is, the thing is, cities and castles were developed alongside each other, so even though they were different Kickstarters, there's a lot of cross-pollination there.
Yep.
So we're just trying to cover everything basically everything about making more fortified buildings, essentially. And then kind of CBS rooms that are incorporated into castle sets, like the postern gate and the artillery post.
How do you mix sort of castle walls and CBS buildings to get stuff?
Yeah. Ikeyeti says he uses the bridge to go to an isolated watchtower that's on a rock in the ocean, like a classical dungeon keep.
Yes.
It's a great set. One of my favorite beauty pictures we have. Ikeyeti.
Woo.
Who I think. Ikeyeti, were you like the first person to win a giveaway when we started streaming?
Amazing.
You won very early on in our streaming days. Were you the first one?
That's
thinking about it. You were the very first.
Rights.
Yeah, I remember that.
I
remember because I was just like, that's a really cool name to be the first giveaway winner. This was my life for a very long time. Still is. Yeah. But yeah, no, like that. One of my favorite beauty shots that we have is that the 2 towers that are high up and they're on like Aaron Thor like built up and there's like a long bridge across. Yeah.
That was the beauty shot that ignited Kickstarter. That was people saw it and they're like, I want to buy that. So I turned it into a pledge.
It's beautiful.
Because it was it's pretty.
Castles is really cool, and if we marketed and communicated better, and that's why we're doing it. That's why we're doing this. We're gonna fix that. The modular wall of doom, basically how to incorporate CBS pieces into castle walls.
Where the heck is it? This guy.
Yeah.
So you can do cool bits.
Yes. And then let's see. We have 2 kind of interesting build tricks that I didn't know about that Nate brought up.
Did we talk about the gatehouse already, or that was kind of integrating
the postern gate? We didn't talk about like the Barbican gatehouse.
No,
or like the mechanical.
Yeah, it's just sort of the gatehouse.
I feel like that's kind of covered by the Construct a Castle videos. Pretty
Probably.
Well.
Yeah.
The main thing is like we're using these specific sets, but it's more about these are the techniques and the kinds of little tricks to using castles and cities together. And there's a couple different gatehouse options. Like Poster and Gate, I think, is the poster child for that CBS room integrated with castles.
The poster and child.
It's the Poster and Child, yeah. So then there's these 2 tricks that I didn't actually know about that are really interesting. A half of a 4-inch tower pushed against a CBS building.
Yep. Classic.
And then having an 8x8 CBS building and using buttresses to put a 6-inch tower on top of it.
So the question is, does that cover all the general compatibility, or I guess it's not really general, it's cool, fun, specific compatibility? Is there something else we're missing? That's the first question. The second question is, what should we look at? What should we want to demo first?
Yeah, and we've got Rabbit here, who's a good castle expert. Are there other interesting city CBS or city castle crossovers that we've forgotten to mention? Any of those compatibility pieces? And if you're not terribly familiar with castles, are there any questions that you have about it that it sounds like we're not addressing? Maybe we are addressing it. You really had to go full noble to afford castles, not too accessible for peasants. We need more affordable castling. That's the thing. I feel like that was a messaging issue, because I think like actually a little bit of castles actually does a lot, like particularly for like dressing up like stone buildings, which is what I want to do here. Oh, advanced builder stuff like the 2x4 floors. Should we talk about that advanced builder set? And should we rename that set?
Yeah, probably.
It's very weird.
Well, it kind of is it goes with the building with walls. That was a lot of 2x4s.
Oh, maybe we work it into that section then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put a note there. Advanced builder set. That one might be worth a set rename as well. Castle advice. Crenellations work really well on the floor around a keep below battlements. Around a keep below battlements. On the floor. Crenellations work really well on the floor around a keep below battlements.
Yeah, like if you had if you had battlements up above, you could do another level down below, I think that's what they're saying. Like, I think.
Yeah, tiny keeps for the win. Yes, and that's the thing. Like and people have been posting pictures in the Discord of like, hey, I got like these 2 or 3 castle sets, and like Sock Merchant was doing like big stuff. Is that Steve O'Mancy? Is that his account, or is that a different person? I'm trying to keep track of people having like different names across different platforms.
It's really hard.
No, Steve O'Mancy and Sock Merchant are different people. I can't remember Sock Merchant. I think does watch the streams because that's where he heard it. But he like posted like a nice like he put like 2 he got suspended parapets and did like little towers on some stone buildings, and like,
is this what they're talking
people are getting
about?
into
Like do a thing
more
like
he says like more like fencing, so like they're literally on the ground.
Oh, down. Okay. So like you've got your keep down there, and you've got
make a pack that turns a fieldstone core into a small keep would be a great step 2 set. That's kind of what the rooftop crenellation pack does.
Yeah.
Or I guess it's currently called the tower.
Well, it's out of stock, so yeah. When we bring it back, we're renaming it.
Yeah, we're bringing that back and renaming it to something.
They're right.
That makes more sense.
They're exactly right. We need something that can do that.
We need a picture that shows like this is what this does.
Yep.
Because that's exactly what that set does.
All right. So, were there any requests on what we look at first? Do we want to do this 8x8 building trick? Because that's a really fun one.
Dwarven pillar siding? Yeah, we need to bring the dwarven pillars back.
They're in that rooftop pack.
Yeah, they're in that rooftop pack. It'd be nice if there was another way to get them though. Yeah, we'll see. Show the dwarven pillar in level 2 of that build.
Is there one down below?
It's a fun, cute. It's a fun, cute little.
Yeah, good
piece.
eyes, man. That was like.
That fencing effect is going to look nice next to / above the new seawalls.
Yes.
We should do that.
Whose idea was that?
That was Dinah.
Dinah, right on.
Is it Dinah or Dina?
Dinah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
we
good.
should keep that in mind for compatibility builds during the Kickstarter.
Yeah, that'll look awesome.
Because the paint will match too.
Yeah,
it'll be pretty similar.
Ish, yeah.
It won't be the exact same,
cool.
but we're keeping it in the same kind of ballpark.
It'll look cool.
Yeah.
100%.
I'd love to see that buttress tower on CBS buildings.
Okay, let's do it.
Oh, that 8x8? Yeah, like I haven't even seen this. I haven't even heard of it. I'm actually excited to see this.
It's in, if you go back, I don't know, somewhere in cities they did it. I mean, in castles they did it. But, okay, so this is let's see. It looks better with 2 8x8s, but let's see. Let's say we had ourselves
a merry little Christmas.
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
I'm ready for it. It's because
It's coming.
Christmas carols are coming, like it or not.
2.5 months away.
Yeah, no, they're gonna
A
start
little
now.
over 2.5.
They don't even wait till Halloween's over anymore. There's no respect.
Love to see that budget. Yeah, people really want to see
so
that.
here we go. So it is. It's better with. Should I get more? Well, I can do it with. But it's better if you do 2 stories up first or whatever. But you can do it with this one. Right?
You'll still get the effect here. But this is a really cool. If you've got 6-inch tower pieces.
Yeah, we can use the 8x8. We'll use 2 4x8.
Do we have the roof platform? I need to check actually what roof platform compositions look like.
Out of stock is what they look like.
Yeah, but like, when it comes to restocking them.
All right.
Square. They just have their own pack.
It's not it's batter bases, not buttresses. Maybe that'll throw people off. But you just do this. Bump, bump, bump. Bump, bump. Maybe we could do a door. Wait, let's put a door up.
That's a lot of that. That should be all the platforms you'd ever need. Wow. Oh, they're in stock. This pack, 4 4x4s, 2 4x8s, and 2 8x8s. That should be all the roof platforms you'd ever need. They are? Yeah. They look like they're in stock to me. Square roof platform pack. Yeah.
So roof platforms, throw some batter bases on there.
How many do we have? We don't have very many, but they are in stock. Huh.
Batter bases were like the unsung.
They're so.
I think people didn't realize how, like, just awesome and generally badass they are. All right, so you do that, boom, and then you just drop your tower. What's in there? Come on, buddy. And you drop your tower on top, and you keep going up, and you have you suddenly have this kind of cool fortified base tower, and then it kind of makes like a cool standalone keep or watchtower or whatever. Is a fun little effect. And then wait, we can go one step further.
I guess that makes sense. They're on that footprint. So
in the opening shot of the Kickstarter video for castles, there's sort of panning over the city. On the right side of that city, right, sort of when it lands and we get to the this is gonna be too low. Oh no, I have a thing here, but whatever. But this is the idea, right? You do it. I did a weird, cool building like this with. Actually, I think it went. I don't know. I did this trick in the opening shot of the city's video. You can also do this as a wild one and go from there.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and just go to the spire roof.
Yeah.
Or go to the tower.
Do something like that.
There's a lot of really cool geometry.
One level of this first. And then go to that. Right, bump, keep stepping up.
You can get so much variety to the skyline.
Yeah, and then you can also do fun. Here's another fun one. You could do. Let's see.
I feel like last month and a half of this Twitch channel has just been evangelizing castles.
They castles are fun.
What does it look like with just round crenellations on top, no tower walls? So you're saying just the batter bases and then crenellations on top?
We can do that. Great idea.
So it just looks like a fortified. They just take the ladder, like the stairs up from inside, and
yeah,
it's just a fortified.
Need a circular roof.
Show half circle towers in line with the wall. I think we're gonna do that. Yeah, that's one of the things we have on. That's one of the things we have on our list.
Let me get 2 more of these.
It's in the gatehouse. I think we do it in the Barbican Gatehouse. Has that?
Yep.
Yeah, Barbican Gatehouse has that. Or Battlements, I guess. The crenellations don't fit right. He's gonna grab them. Yeah, I'm sure he seemed like he knew exactly what you were going for. So I'm sure it'll work. It sounds like it's a thing he's done before. Yes, Barbican has that. Yeah. It's one of the things that makes the Barbican the fancy gatehouse option. You know.
Boop, boop. Yeah, that sort of a thing. It's a cool little bunker. Here's what I was gonna try was
if the crenellation fits.
Pop this guy up here.
This show's content needs to be the PDF. It needs to be on a PDF or web page.
Oh boy,
man, could you? Oh, if every week we were just like, hey,
here's
Letitia, can you scrub through and screenshot
and then
the stream and break it all down? If only those roof flares were in stock. What kind of pack is that in? We should have that roof you used to go from 6 to 4 inches.
Oh, the large. Yeah, those are not.
What is that called? Tower roof? What is that?
Wide, large tower roof or something?
Large tower roofs pack. Small tower roofs pack.
If you have a door, am I crooked? Yeah.
I need to go through and just mark like, hey, these are like the core castle pieces.
This little guy. Let's see, what do we have? We have like.
Is there any reason to even bring back small tower roofs instead of just large tower roof?
You could do something like this. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, the large tower roof has everything that's in the small tower roof. Because it just doesn't have the small. It just doesn't have the flare.
So you can have like a cool little outside area that then to the forefront area. Like it makes really interesting. I don't know. I think I like the geometry of going from the square into the circle. Like we did the same gag in the Necromancer's Keep. It's a really fun one.
Rabbit says battlements need a wall to sit on and won't work with batter bases. Yeah, that's true. Which is also part of the video is like, hey, I see crenellations of battlements look the same to me in the store. What's going on here? And it's showing like how why they work differently.
Right. Well, they
all
have
that.
Yeah. The corbels underneath it hang down, so they matriculate out, and it gives a whole. Yeah, you need a whole other story for them.
Stubby.
Whole other story.
Some advanced builder love right there. The 2x4 building.
You know, the other one you can do. Let's see. Do I have?
We do need to think of a new name for that pack. We'll be thinking about it.
Do I have enough for it? If you go up, you can do a suspended parapet under that corner too. If you go up one more level, and it looks really neat to.
Love this. Much more interesting playable space than some of the other castle builds with narrow wall tops.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff.
Playable bits. What else can we do with this thing?
And it works for RPGs. It works for war games.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get the large tower roof. We might need to kill the small tower roof, but I think the large tower roof pack. The only thing is the small tower roof has
all 1X's though.
Has that telescope. Yeah, it's not high multiples.
It's rough for restocking.
But it's also an easy pack for people to buy multiple of, at least.
This is true.
You all need to promise to buy multiple if we bring it back. I mean, castles aren't going to... I mean, they're selling more now, but like they won't sell if they're not there to buy.
Yeah.
I think they'll be...
Wow, you're the Yogi
Berra
of terrain.
Half the lies aren't true. I think that's my favorite Yogi Berra quote. I feel like we discussed this before. Yeah, I really like Yogi Berra.
He's a delightful fella.
Ain't over till it's over. Double the pack, then it's multiples. Yeah, then we have to get new pricing, and it's a different reconfiguration. Maybe we can ask him, and maybe it won't be that bad. Maybe we can double the roofs, and we can add the telescope in that we would lose from the small tower roof. See what the pricing's like on that.
It's going to go up a bunch, but yeah.
Might as well get it and see how bad it is. Worst case scenario, we don't use it, you know?
Yep. Agree. Have we beat this one into the ground? Should we look at something else?
I think so. Rabbit wanted us to show off the Barbican Gatehouse style 4-inch, like half a 4-inch tower into the thing. Thanks for putting all the love into showcasing this. It's really awesome.
That's what we live for.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like we just genuinely enjoy playing with this stuff. Librarian controlled vocabulary advice. Run the rename document past the community so we can catch anything that creates set ambiguity or search problems.
Ooh.
We could do that, like...
Wait, we have a librarian watching?
I guess Dinah was a librarian, which
makes
sense. Honestly, like, the vibes make a lot of sense to me. Because she's got, like, a very well-archived... She has, like, a site where she has, like, this very, like, well-archived, like, hey, here's how I did... Was it the stalls? Like, you did village stalls, like, store... overhangs and stuff. It's like
those are awesome.
Right, I sent that to you guys early on in Cities Development. I actually sent that article. I sent Dinah. I actually sent that to the dev team early on in I love that in Cities Development, because I was like, hey, she did all this like really cool stuff with it. We should look at this. And yeah.
All right, so here's the. No, I need
When you do ruin stuff, don't forget to add crumbling castle bits. Oh, we have those.
Oh, rabbit.
We have... Oh, that was actually Orion.
Oh. Half the challenge with with castles, is just finding the appropriate piece.
Yeah. The worst part is setup, for sure. Don't know if it's any indication, but the set still left on most of the resellers' list is castles. It's there and it's slow to sell. So the thing with castles, I feel like we didn't give castles the spotlight it needed on a lot of sets, and it would sell better if we had communicated better. And it's tough because also it's in a weird situation where because some of it's out of stock, it makes it harder to sell the stuff that is there because they need each other to work.
This is a wonderfully simple, wonderfully effective one.
Jade kind of says, half the trouble with castles is just finding the right piece. Sir, you've just described your entire product line.
Okay, fair. But with castles, it's even worse because I feel like there's so many specialized, like, weirdo specific things. And well, he also called me sir. That gets me nervous. Like,
yeah, Dinah, if you want to link your blog for the store market stalls and stuff, it sounds like there's a couple people who want to see it. And yeah, go ahead and link that.
Yeah, it's a cool.
It's a really cool, thorough article.
So this is the simple gag. If you want to make like classic barbican shape, right? You can take your half of a 4-inch tower and pop it against a 4x4, and you've got that neat sort of half curve. Then you can put your gate in the middle somewhere, and then do another one on the other side. You can also do this with the 6x6s if you want to get really ambitious. Once again, I did that in the opening video in the Castles Kickstarter. Did that. I had the big. Let's see. Do I have the half floors here? I had these big old guys in front. Did like a real grand, right, with this gate. Hang on, this way. Real grand barbican. I think I actually haven't done it since.
That reminds me of one of the first videos I cut here.
Dropping pieces on the floor.
It's like the unnamed castle or whatever. Yeah. You knocked like a bit of a tower over in the middle of it, and like a flag fell off. And I did a little like punch in. And I think I played two Xanarkand over it. Super sad Final Fantasy X song. Yeah.
And it was hilarious.
Oh, everybody loved it.
The internet.
They put us on the map. It was a masterclass in comedy.
What map? Well, nobody knows, but
not a good map.
Yeah. All right, so you could do this sort of a. Can I see anything? Wait, why am I off? Oh, it's bent. That's why.
6-inch half towers look great flanking a gatehouse, says Rabbit.
Yeah, a la like this, right?
Yeah.
And you just can build up.
When you use that advanced builder. Yeah, we definitely need to highlight advanced builder just to show, because that's what lets you knock a 4-inch into a 6-inch and stuff.
With the
yeah.
And then you can have neat interior rooms. And
it's like the only way to do it too. So we need to have. Yeah, we need to have a section on that.
Put this one in here.
We just need to figure out what we want to call it, because I feel like Advanced Builder isn't a great name for it. Show that ruined walls and towers build complete levels that can be ruined during gameplay. That's not really a CBS compatibility thing, I think.
That is worthy. Like we kind of should do a ruins showcase. It's like its own masterclass in ruins. Would be a fun one.
Now that we're starting this series, there's a lot of cool, interesting topics we can do like that.
Yeah, for 2024, we have a lot. To drop a lot of. Does this go through the half towers? Is there? The other one you can do with them.
We can work that into. Let's work that into the half tower section. Yeah. We'll do 4-inch and 3-inch. It's 3-inch, 6-inch.
Measurements.
My brain's going. Yeah. Expanded builder? I don't know what we'd call it. Castle conversion set.
Yeah. So you can also do the half tower against a wall, like such. Where's my other half tower? Here it is. And if you want to, here's a couple of tricks. I did this in the inline tower. I think I used.
What sets include the flags and such? I only have one from the Rapid Special. That's a great question. I think they're included in a lot of random tower. Crenellation sets that have those corner crenellations that have pole accessory holes come with flags.
They're another case of we had some awesome choices in the Kickstarter, and I've never restocked them since.
I think there's some in the Tower Battlements add-on pack, which we're going to rename to Rooftop Crenellation pack.
Where is that?
Does Dwarven Forge see an uptick in sales when you do these showcases? Absolutely. That's what I said. Is like I've noticed after we first highlighted like this castle compatibility stuff, like we
actually
seen
moved some castles.
Those sets have started moving for the first time in like over a year.
Hey, show us.
Like it's like genuinely like the castles line has just been so stagnant, and it turns out just putting even like a little spotlight on it and showing people how they actually work.
Showing people how a thing works makes them say, "Oh,
yeah,
that's kind of neat."
Okay, so this one doesn't have it because it doesn't have the crenellations with the. There's a crenellations pack that has the flags in it because the corner crenellations that like are larger and go up on the sides have pole accessory holes.
So you can use the MWAD module wall and put in either the arch wall or door wall, and then pop that, replace that on your front of your tower, and then the front of your wall, then put your half towers up against that, so there's actually a way to get in there. And then you can reverse your roof platform, put it on top like that, and go. And then you want a you do want a half. Where is it?
This is a great pack. We have a flags and gargoyles pack.
I thought it sold out. That was a fantastic
It is sold
pack.
out, but
I'm
looking at it like this
no,
is
it's
a
a really
great
neat
pack.
little. It's got all the fun decorations.
We should restock this.
Then you go here, and woo! Look how nice it is. Yeah, no, I love that pack.
That's a really great
That's
pack.
one of my
Like you
favorite,
can drop that. You can use that outside of castles. There's just a lot of really cool pieces.
Because who doesn't want flags and gargoyles? Like
It's like a mega pack of pole accessories.
It's like everything you could ever want in your life.
Yeah.
All in one place. Yeah.
And we don't even need to change the name. It tells you exactly what it is. Flags and gargoyles. There we go.
Well, that was a stroke of genius. But yeah, I don't think it's ever been.
Whoever thought of the name for that pack?
I was up late that night.
Yeah. The brain trust.
So you use the regular. You can use the regular rampart crenellations to run up to either side. Just use straight crenellations or ones with the buckets or whatever here, and then you can run your curves up there, and you get a nice little inline tower effect. It's really fun. You can also keep going with this. You could, if you want, just do, instead of the wall, you could just put a square building in there. I'm going to take one of your city builder buildings and put that in there. I'm missing a wall, but get the idea. Put a wall platform on top, which I don't have, and then pave over that, so you can have an extended tower running right through the middle of your thing, your wall. You can also do the same gag with the 2x4s, right? You could just do this with, boom. I don't know why you have a nice heavy one in front, but
I'm glad Rabbit caught the advanced builder because it completely slipped my mind, and it honestly changes. It's a factor in a lot of the stuff we were planning on showing. Like,
it uses pieces that we show over and over again.
Yeah.
It's true.
We definitely need to work that into the video.
This makes a neat little Sally gate too, right? You can do something off the side there. Yeah, just in general, building City Builder inline with the walls works really well, just in general.
All the measurements really work out, yeah. Flags and gargoyles sounds like a British euphemism.
I mean, isn't everything a British euphemism? But
Did you ever watch Slings and Arrows?
No, it sounds cool.
It's what's the best way to put it? It's like a British comedy about a Shakespeare repertory theater. I think it's British. Maybe it isn't. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember liking it a lot. I think it was only like 6 episodes. Like,
oh, the other nice one you can do with this this guy, where is it?
I might have just thought they were British because they were doing Shakespeare.
No, that's fair. I mean, yeah.
Ways to cap the ends of walls?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a...
Just run it off the side of your build, and you go like, no, you can't go over there. Don't worry about it. Is it possible to get a lineup shot of the different types of crenellations battlements next to each other to see what is out there? Show like all the
whole
crenellation
family.
and battlement sculpts.
There's transitions. There's things. So this is
There's round. There's straight. There. Oh man.
You can run. You can use the M1 to put like torch in your wall. As you're doing a wall run.
We definitely got to show the MWAD just because.
Yeah, that thing has a lot of fun applications.
We also really got to figure out if we got to rename the MWAD. I don't know if Modular Wall of Doom makes...
No, it was a working title that we left just because...
I think my favorite thing about it is the piece itself actually has, like, a perfectly fine name, and we should have just named the pack, like... Yeah, it's literally, like, the piece is called the Insert Slot Wall.
Yeah, it takes a City Builder insert.
Yeah.
Slot slides in. It's like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. But...
The pack's in stock, too, and it comes
Well, I was really excited because I was like, this is the thing, like, this gives us such fun city compatibility.
It is really cool.
Like, this is, people are going to go nuts for this. Get an Abbey window in there, put a door.
I often use the castle wall spacers to make walkways or stairs on the insides of walls. Yeah.
Just even putting a door in there, right? So then you can have stairs up to the... stairs up from the outside.
They walk through and fall 10 feet.
Ah, you get some stairs.
You can cap walls using corner walls with 4-inch towers as shown in the building of the Wyvern Watch Castle build of the month. That's fair.
What did I use?
Used corner wall and then a 4-inch tower.
Ooh, that's
in
clever.
The Wyvern Watch Castle.
So you're trying how to terminate a castle run if you don't have a corner?
Balcony base goes in MWAD too. Yeah, anything that'll go in between corner posts on a standard CBS building can go into the MWAD. You can hang balconies off it. You can hang the bridge. You can hang the bridge base off it, can't you? Yeah, so you can use it to suspend the tower bridge as well.
Yeah, you can use it for everything, right? So you could do.
You can use the dungeon narrow walls with the crenellation on top between buildings to make like improvised fortifications. Looks kind of Alamo / Seven Samurai type defenses. Wall of Doom needs to come with a spacer.
Well, it was designed to,
it's supposed to be like an add-on pack if you already have walls.
But now when there's none of the other pieces, it's a little tricky.
That really is Square towers can cap a wall or even the advanced builder. Oh yeah, the advanced builder is a good way to cap them too. Actually, you can have it terminate in a little room.
You can have it terminate into, right? You can build right into a couple of 2x4s, like.
Night, Dragos. Enjoy Rings of Power.
Good night.
Siri software to help with name normalization have been known to alphabetize for fun, so it's my kind of puzzle. Jadekind Adam is super right that doing rename in combo with Cities Untold naming is very wise. Yeah, we'll definitely want to make sure that it's forward-thinking and in line with the stuff that we're doing going forward. So it's the whole point of all this, right? Is to make actual like evergreen changes. We'll see. I'm gonna try to do an overview this week probably before we shoot this and just look at every set that we want to bring back and see how many need to be renamed. See how extreme it even is. It's just the case of with castles and with cities. There's just the case of a lot of things where it's like this made a lot of sense for the Kickstarter, and then
also made a lot of sense when we didn't have other sets and other lines and
Yeah.
Like a wall pack doesn't hold up as well now anymore.
Yes.
What else? We got like 1 minute. It's 8:59. What should we see?
I didn't miss adding anything onto this, right? We got the half tower against CBS building, 4-inch and 6-inch. That was new. It was going like we should do both of these. Advanced builder being worked into the MWAD, as well as some of the other stuff.
You can put the Bridge of Valor into the MWAD.
That's true.
Yeah.
Anything that takes when we're doing the MWAD section, we can literally be like, it'll take any of the stuff that went in.
And this and just snap.
We can just rapid fire. It's like because the MWAD's actually pretty easy to understand.
Yeah,
like it's pretty straightforward.
But then you have to start thinking like, what are all the different things I could jam in there? Like that is like that thing is lively. Double arrow slits. Yeah.
Which show double thick walls. Double thick walls.
Yeah, you put a cube spacer in. And you go.
Oh, double wide walls. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like you put like 2 of the basic walls like against each
You
other.
put a cube spacer and you double them up.
Yeah,
You also do
double
high,
wide.
We have double, yeah.
Is that a CBS thing?
No, but I mean it does line up with.
Does it do stuff with
buildings.
the advanced builder?
No, but it lines up with buildings if you wanted to do that.
Okay. Because I think it's the main thing. It's just keeping in mind that this is about the cross compatibility.
It sounds like we need a castle video also.
We do need a castle video.
How the hell do you build with castles?
We have that whole construct a castle line video. I guess the thing with that is that focuses on individual sets, and it's not really as much about the building philosophy.
You'll get stuff if you watch all those videos. You'll pick up a lot of tricks.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of little fun techniques in there.
But it's not exactly. It's not like a getting started video where it's just a comprehensive overview in one place. Yeah.
Yeah. It is it's a slow journey.
I think that's.
We should.
Does anybody? Yeah. Does anybody else? Is there anything it feels like? I mean, we've got.
Got a lot.
There's a lot of stuff to demo here still. I feel like we've got a lot. You can have crenellations one side and battlements on the other. It can be built on 4x4 CBS.
Yes.
In that crenellation battlement section, should we have a demonstration of using both crenellations and battlements?
And
on
it
the
looks
same
really
building?
cool, right? If you have, imagine it's a full height wall, right? You have battlements in the front and crenellations in the back, and it looks sick. Do I have? Where did I put all my battlements?
They're around there. It's just, we've made a mess of the table as expected.
Go figure.
Double your walls, double your fun. It's the statement of the great mint. Why do I know this?
Of the great.
Why do I? Advertising is. Oh yeah, it is interesting. Like It definitely makes it seem like we're expecting an attack to come from this direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a front side and a back side. And you do this on a wall, and it looks really cool.
Are there any cool uses for the stone bridge pack? Yeah, yes. I feel like we're gonna. Well, because that's compatible with the balcony bridge add-on. So we'll go over stone bridge in that section, I think. Castle mullet, crenellations in front, battlements in the back.
Ha! Wouldn't it be the battlements in the back? I guess it's business.
Which one's
front,
business?
right?
Which one's fun?
These are business.
Yeah, true. Like, that's the.
Yeah, I mean it's serious business over there.
Let's see. Hey, Rabbit's got examples on his Flickr. I might just look through his photos and just see if there's anything there where it's like, oh yeah, that's a cool trick that we need to demo.
Yeah, we forgot.
Because I think the goal is to shoot this next week if possible, because we want it to come out at the same time as the Getting Started with Cities video. Because we want them to come out so we can.
I don't know why there's doors up on the second story, but
it's a trick.
Yeah, it's a trick. But the walls, like you can see in profile, like that's a satisfying wall. That is no joke.
Huh. Yeah, there's interesting geometry you can do there. And you can put CBS buildings on top. Yeah, if it kicks it out into a 4x4 CBS building compatible thing, we should show it. Probably with the advanced builder section. Probably.
And then you can run this down to regular wall height and lots of options. All right.
Man.
We should
get out of here.
Yeah, we should call it.
Man.
This is gonna be a messy video. I'm just looking at the table.
It's just gonna be a hands-on. Well, and we'll wipe it in between sections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. Queensboro.
Man.
All right. Well, thanks for the feedback. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks to Lee from Strata for hanging out,
entertaining us for a bit.
Questions. Yeah.
And if you like those minis, Kickstarter does not have much longer left.
No, they could use your support.
Really, really high quality minis. Really cool people doing really good work in the industry.
Agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so hobby hang tomorrow night. What's is there Hamster's gone whitewater rafting?
Oh yeah, I was supposed to say that actually the hobby hang's canceled tomorrow night.
Hobby hang canceled tomorrow night.
I forgot about that. I completely
Hamster's
forgot.
hard at work, not at all out whitewater rafting.
Must be nice.
Yeah, in winter.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
No, he's gone tomorrow. Well,
So we'll be back next week.
I completely forgot.
I have no idea what we'll be doing next week, but we'll be back, and Hobby Hang will be back next week. And last Wednesday of this month, we'll go deep dive into cities. We have a lot of new stuff to look at for Cities Untold.
Yeah, we're gonna have so much we can actually physically demo.
Oh yeah,
this month it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be lively.
I was like lining up some of the stuff like on the testing. I was like, oh god,
it's gonna be.
It's
good.
so nice to like finally have it like actually realize.
We actually build stuff instead of just talking about it. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But until then, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you soon.
All right. Night, everybody.
Bye.